The Tsar Bomb, the monster that terrified its own creators. October 30th, 1961, Novaya Zemlya, Soviet Union. The pilot's hands trembled as he gripped the controls of the specially modified Tu-95 Bear bomber. Behind him, suspended in the aircraft's belly, hung a weapon so powerful that even its creators weren't entirely sure what would happen when it detonated. The Soviet Union was about to unleash hell on Earth, and for the first time in military history, the weapon scared the people who built it more than their enemies. What happened next would redefine our understanding of destructive power forever. The genesis of absolute power. In 1961, the Cold War wasn't just cold. It was frozen solid with mutual terror. The Americans had stunned the world with their hydrogen bomb tests, and Premier Nikita Khrushchev was not a man to be outdone. When he ordered Soviet scientists to build the ultimate deterrent, he gave them a simple directive: make it so powerful that even thinking about war becomes impossible. What they created was the RDS-220, codenamed Ivan by its designers, but the world would know it by a different name: the Tsar Bomba, the king of bombs. At 50 megatons of TNT equivalent, it was theoretically capable of 100 megatons, but Soviet scientists made a chilling calculation. Full power would have irradiated half of northern Russia. Even they had limits. The weapon itself was a monster, 26 feet long, 7 feet in diameter, and weighing 27 tons. To put this in perspective, it was heavier than most main battle tanks and packed more explosive power than all the munitions used in World War II combined. The engineering challenge wasn't just building it. It was figuring out how to deliver it without vaporizing the crew. The flight of no return. The modified Tu-95 Bear that carried the Tsar Bomba was a flying tomb. Soviet engineers stripped out every non-essential component, painted the aircraft white to reflect thermal radiation, and installed a special parachute system to slow the bomb's descent. The crew needed those precious seconds to escape what they calculated would be a fireball spanning 2.3 miles in diameter. Major Ivan Dernovtsev, the pilot, volunteered for what everyone assumed was a suicide mission. The survival probability was estimated at 50-50. Coin flip odds for the crew of one of the most sophisticated bombers ever built. As the aircraft approached the drop zone over the desolate Novaya Zemlya archipelago, ground crews at monitoring stations hundreds of miles away prepared for something unprecedented. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The Soviets were conducting this test not just for military purposes, but as the ultimate psychological weapon. They invited observers from around the world. The moment that shook the world. At 11:32 a.m. Moscow time, the Tsar Bomba detonated 2.5 miles above the Arctic wasteland. What happened next defied human comprehension. The fireball that erupted was visible from 600 miles away. The mushroom cloud rose 40 miles into the sky, so high it punched through the stratosphere and into the mesosphere. The shockwave circled the Earth 3 times, registering on seismographs as a 5.25 magnitude earthquake. Windows shattered in Finland, 900 miles away. The electromagnetic pulse was so intense it disrupted radio communications across the Arctic Circle for nearly an hour. But the most chilling detail? The aircraft that dropped it, flying at maximum speed, was still nearly destroyed by the shockwave. The Tu-95 dropped over 3,000 feet in seconds, and Major Dernovtsev later described the experience as flying through the end of the world. The fact that they survived at all was considered a miracle. Ground Zero was transformed into a scene from another planet. The blast completely vaporized everything within a 22-mile radius. The heat generated was so intense that it could have caused third-degree burns 62 miles away. If this weapon had been detonated over New York City, The destruction would have extended from Manhattan to Philadelphia. The weapon that ended the arms race. Here's the paradox that military strategists still study today. The Tsar Bomba was so powerful it actually helped end the nuclear arms race. When both superpowers realized they had created weapons capable of destroying civilization itself, a strange sanity prevailed. The Soviet Union never built another one. The logistics were impossible. No missile could carry it, no aircraft could reliably deliver it, and the radioactive fallout would have been catastrophic even for the attacking nation. It was the ultimate example of a weapon being too powerful for its own good. American intelligence agencies, monitoring the test from satellites and ground stations, were simultaneously terrified and relieved. Terrified because the Soviets had demonstrated capabilities beyond their worst nightmares. Relieved because such weapons were clearly impractical for actual warfare. The legacy of absolute destruction. The Tsar Bomba test footage, when finally released, became the most watched military demonstration in history. But for those in the defense community, it represented something more profound. The moment when human destructive capability reached its absolute limit. Today, military doctrine has evolved far from the bigger is better mentality of the early Cold War. Modern weapons focus on precision, not raw power. Yet the Tsar Bomba remains the benchmark against which all other weapons are measured. It represents the ultimate expression of 20th century military thinking, the belief that peace could be achieved through the promise of absolute destruction. The men who witnessed that test, both those who built it and those who observed it, were forever changed. They had seen what the end of the world looked like, and they had decided almost unanimously that it was something that must never happen again. In the end, the Tsar Bomba's greatest victory wasn't military. It was psychological. It scared the human race straight, at least temporarily, and reminded us that some power is too great for anyone to wield. The monster that terrified its own creators had served its ultimate purpose. It made war itself seem impossible.